I was reborn as the stepmother of the vicious female supporting character in a story, and the system tasked me with preventing her from turning to the dark side. Later, I turned the vicious female supporting character into a little angel. The main characters came to our door one after another. The male lead looked wronged. Why don't you like me? The female lead held study materials. Don't leave after school. I'll help you with math today. I was reborn as the stepmother of the vicious female supporting character in the book. Mia, as the number one female villain in the book, had a gloomy childhood. Shortly after her birth, her parents died in a car accident. Her uncle Charles, a business tycoon, concealed the truth and raised her as his own daughter. She and the male lead were childhood sweethearts, and she had a crush on him. Unfortunately, the male lead fell in love with the female lead who suddenly barged into her life. The female lead received the most sincere love from countless people without doing anything. Just because she was the female protagonist, Mia became increasingly jealous of the female lead and even framed her. She did all kinds of bad things to interfere in the relationship between the male and female leads, ultimately causing the plot to collapse. So my mission was to go back to Mia's childhood and prevent her from turning dark, following the memories of my original self. I drove to the school gate to pick up Mia after school. The school bell rang for dismissal, and the quiet campus became lively. Primary school students swarmed out in groups with the crowd. Just as I was mentally prepared to have a fight with Mia, the system sounded a prompt. The target character has appeared. My eyes scanned from afar and then focused, and then I looked down. The little girl's jet black eyes met mine, and then she quickly lowered her head timidly, with red lips and white teeth. She was as delicate as a carved jade. She was so cute. I wanted to hug her tightly and ruffle her hair. As soon as I stretched out my claws, Mia trembled and took a half-step back to avoid my hand. I smiled awkwardly and opened the car door. Mia, let's go home. It doesn't matter. There will be plenty of time in the future. Mia lowered her eyelids and got into the car. Her fluttering skirt revealed several cuts made by a knife, and there were mottled bruises on her thighs. My expression turned serious. System, what's going on? I'm not sure. Mia is just a supporting character, and there aren't many descriptions of the details of her childhood in the book. It doesn't go into this level of detail. I got into the back seat and closed the car door. The little girl lowered her head in silence, trembling slightly imperceptibly. My heart ached, and I softened my voice. Did you have a good time at school today? She didn't answer. I still gently turned up her torn skirt, revealing the mottled pinch marks on her legs. The torn part of the skirt was very neat, as if it had been cut on purpose. Is someone bullying Mia? I took a deep breath. Can you tell me? Only then did Mia look up at me, with a hint of confusion in her eyes. In her impression, my role was probably like the evil queen in Snow White. In the months since I came to the James family, I had been indifferent to her. This was the first time I had shown concern for her. Just when I thought she wouldn't talk to me, I heard her whisper a name, Kevin. I repeated it and took out my phone to zoom in and take pictures of the various scars on her legs. Then she lowered her head. Why are you asking this? Following the direction she pointed, I walked towards a little boy who was playing around with other classmates. I grabbed his ear and headed straight for the teacher's office. Not long after, Kevin's mother pushed the door open and entered. When the little boy saw his mother, he seemed to see a savior. As soon as I let go, he rushed into his mother's arms and cried hysterically to complain. When she heard that her son had bullied a classmate, she screamed, saying it was impossible. The little girl looks fine to me. It's normal for children to play around. But you grabbed my son. You have to give me an explanation. She gave Kevin a look, and the little boy immediately looked at the head teacher next to him. Teacher, I didn't bully anyone. Mia is lying. The head teacher looked at me in a dilemma. It's normal for children to play around. I've been teaching this class, and there have never been any serious incidents. However, classmate Mia rarely participates in class activities. Today there was a PE class. Maybe she fell and got hurt during free activities. Kevin's mother was aggressive to defend her child. The head teacher, on the one hand, wanted to calm things down, and on the other hand, for her own professional title and teaching evaluation, didn't want any serious incidents in the class. Settling things down was her way of handling it, but I couldn't do that. I firmly held Mia's hand. I believe that Mia doesn't lie. The little hand in my palm trembled. The system screamed in my mind. Host, Mia's darkening value has decreased. I was stunned for a moment. Looking down, I could only see the top of Mia's furry head. A firm trust was enough to break a small opening in her closed heart. Look at her. Where does she look hurt at all? Kevin's mother was full of disdain, so I scrolled through the photos I had taken in advance. The purple bruises in the photos were shocking on the fair skin. When I picked up Mia from school today, I saw that the hem of her skirt was cut by a utility knife in many places, and there were a lot of pinch marks underneath. My daughter told me that it was your son during the break. Before I could finish speaking, the woman rushed towards Mia to lift her skirt. Since you say so, I have to see where the injury is. Mia was still a child after all and was so frightened that she burst into tears. My face immediately turned cold, and I quickly stood in front of Mia and pushed her away. Kevin's mother staggered and screamed in anger. Impossible, you must be framing my son. If she's really hurt, then have the guts to let her lift her skirt. Who knows if these photos are real? Teacher, I didn't bully her. Mia likes to lie the most, the little boy reported to the head teacher next to him without any fear. Mia, who had been silent all this time, cried and said, "It was really Kevin, I'm not lying." In such an environment, she was so scared that she wanted to lift her skirt to prove herself. I hugged her and covered her skirt. I said with a cold face, "My daughter is the victim. She has no obligation to prove herself by lifting her skirt in full view, and besides, I have evidence to prove the scars on her body. You have a guilty conscience." Kevin's mother suddenly changed the subject. Her eyes swept across my face. Remembering the rumors among the parents, she sneered, "When we had parent-teacher meetings before, Mia's mother didn't look like you. Can the words of a mistress who interferes in other people's marriages be believed?" She laughed coldly. Such a rumor was pinned on me, as if it made me inferior for no reason. The ones who attended Mia's parent-teacher meetings before were all the aunts at home. You spread rumors about me without clarifying the facts. I think it's no wonder Kevin would do such bad things. Now that I've seen his mother, I understand the reason. Kevin's mother's face turned black with anger. Whether you believe it or not is not important to me. It's enough that the police believe it. As soon as I finished speaking, the sound of a police siren sounded outside the school. The woman screamed in disbelief. "You called the police?" I squatted down and hugged Mia in my arms. The little girl's eyes were shining as she looked at me, making my heart soft and firm. My daughter's personal safety was threatened. Isn't it normal to call the police? The head teacher was also stunned. She was about to say something when she was interrupted by Kevin's mother. "Call the police then. Let's see how you deal with false reporting, officer." Don't believe her one-sided story. As a mistress, she can say anything. See, I had already explained, but she still wanted to embarrass me in this way. So some people don't really want to know the truth. They just want to hurt the other person. A man in a suit pushed the door open at this time. He had a handsome face and an air of nobility all over him. He looked coldly at the source of the voice and walked to my side. "This is my wife. Riley, if you continue to slander my wife like this, I don't mind adding another item to our dispute." Kevin's mother suddenly fell silent and looked at Charles suspiciously. "Host, this is Riley's husband, Charles." It turned out that after the police car appeared at the school gate, the parents in the class group were discussing and speculating enthusiastically. Charles learned about the situation from the head teacher, canceled the meeting temporarily, and came to the police station directly with a lawyer. "Are you two okay?" Charles looked at me with a complicated expression. "It's okay. It can be resolved." Charles nodded and squatted down to comfort Mia. "I'm sorry, Mia. Dad didn't know you were being bullied. Dad and..." Charles paused and looked at me. "And Mom will definitely punish the bad guys who bullied you. Okay." He held out his hand and made a pinky promise with Mia. Mia lowered her head, and it took a long time for her to carefully stretch out her little finger and hook his. At this time, the lawyer brought by Charles, together with the police, quickly found the surveillance and obtained the corresponding evidence. In the video, the little boy maliciously damaged the girl's skirt with a utility knife. Seeing that the other party didn't resist, he reached out to pinch her thigh under the skirt. The little boy, who had just lied without batting an eye, turned red in the face and cried hysterically to avoid responsibility. "I just wanted to play with her." Kevin's mother also lost a lot of confidence but still argued, "It's normal for children to play around." The police officer sitting opposite clearly had a bad expression. He tapped his finger on the table. "This is child molestation." The two of them turned pale instantly. The woman was a bit emotional. "What's wrong with children playing around? If you found more than a dozen bruises on your son, would you think it's nothing?" The woman was silenced by me. She angrily slapped the little boy on the head. "Hurry up and apologize." Kevin turned red in the face and his voice was as soft as a mosquito. "Sorry." In the end, Because Kevin was only 6 years old, the police and the lawyer suggested that we mediate. Kevin's mother couldn't help but feel complacent again. It's normal for children to make mistakes, he just apologized. I'll take him home and make him correct them. Wait a minute, I quickly scanned the document just written by the lawyer and stopped her. Although classmate Chen is a minor, in principle, the law requires compensation for direct economic losses, such as medical expenses and property losses. The woman looked smug and was about to transfer $5,000 to me. Keep the change. I smiled and motioned for Mia to come over. I pointed to the skirt on her. This skirt that was cut by your son costs $110,000. The woman lost her temper. Why is it so expensive? I smiled sweetly. This is a skirt that my husband customized for her at the Chanel Haute Couture exhibition on Mia's birthday. There's only one like it. I'll have the lawyer send you the relevant materials and proof of expenses later. Please compensate according to the price to avoid unnecessary disputes in the future. Kevin's mother gritted her teeth and stiffened. As if she had been slapped in the face by me from afar, Charles was the president of a listed company, holding most of the shares of the James family. He was young and promising. Although he had a daughter, it didn't affect him from being a popular choice in the wealthy family marriages. For Charles, the blood of his older brother was more important than his own emotional needs. He had tried dating the daughters of well-matched famous enterprises before. But it was really difficult to find a wealthy daughter who could wholeheartedly and carefully take care of a child. Later, Charles thought of a contract marriage. Coincidentally, at this time, Charles saw the resume sent by Riley. One day, after Riley's job interview, when she was about to leave the office building, she happened to meet the CEO of this company asking her, "Would you like to marry me under a contract?" Riley was from a rural area. Through hard work, she was admitted to a top-tier university in the highly competitive college entrance examination and was successfully promoted to a postgraduate. Riley looked at the job offers from various famous enterprises, and her eyes finally slowly fell on the contract agreement given to her by Charles. She entered into a contract marriage with Charles to take care of Mia, $30,000 a month. At first, Riley really went for the high salary, but as time passed, she developed other thoughts. She was the glamorous Mrs. James outside, but only she knew that Charles's eyes never lingered on her for a moment. He only cherished the daughter left by his ex-wife. Riley began to want not only money but also Charles's heart, and Charles's coldness made her vent her anger on Mia. The distortion of Riley's character was gradually projected onto Mia. She thought that she couldn't make Charles fall in love with her because of this child's obstruction. So she constantly psychologically controlled Mia and secretly abused her. Mia's going astray was inseparable from the original self. It was obvious that an educated woman like the original self knew she was wrong but still did it. The original self had no professional ethics, but I do. When the money is in place, the customer is God. After returning home, I first asked the family doctor to take Mia to treat her wounds. In the bedroom, only Charles and I were left. He rubbed his eyebrows wearily, seemingly not expecting Mia to have such an experience at school. Host, what if Charles thinks it's your fault for not taking good care of Mia and asks you to leave the James family? What should we do? If we leave, the mission will fail. That won't do. My expression became serious. Before Charles could speak, I took the initiative to admit my mistake. I'm sorry. I was negligent this month. I originally thought that children should have their own space to grow, so I paid too little attention to her growth, resulting in her suffering such a serious injury at school. If you hold me accountable, you can deduct it from my salary this month. I admitted my mistake sincerely. Deducting money is okay, but being fired is not. Charles looked at me in surprise. He didn't think of blaming me entirely for this matter, but at this moment, he didn't expect me to mention such a cold monetary relationship in this situation. After all, I usually regarded myself as Mrs. James and never mentioned the contract marriage. After a long while, he moved his inquiring eyes away from my face. It's okay, this is not entirely your fault. I'm also to blame for not paying attention to Mia's situation. Yes, Charles was choked by me and suddenly looked at me again. I smiled sweetly. Although we are in a contract marriage and I take care of Mia's growth, but a child's growth is not complete with only a mother. As a father, you also need to participate. Host, our mission is to prevent Mia from turning dark. If Charles gets involved, will it be inconvenient for us to carry out the mission? The system's idea was to strictly instill the concepts of truth, goodness, and beauty in Mia in a dogmatic way. As long as she didn't turn dark, that would be fine. But I'm different from a cold computer. I also value rich emotions. Education is not about indoctrination. I looked at Charles. The essence of education is, one tree shakes another tree, one cloud pushes another cloud, and one soul awakens another soul. As parents, our silent teachings have a huge impact on our children. As Mia's father, I don't want you to be absent. Charles extinguished the cigarette in his hand. What do you want me to do? I threw him the family schedule I had prepared long ago. Come to the restaurant downstairs for dinner later. Let me know if you have any dietary restrictions. As soon as I finished speaking, I went out to look for Mia, but I heard Charles's voice behind me. Riley, thank you for being willing to do so much for Mia. I turned around and smiled brightly. You're welcome. These are additional services, and you need to pay extra for them. Charles paused, and his expression when looking at me was a bit strange. I raised my eyebrows in surprise. What? Is that not okay? Paying extra is fine. Then it's settled. After getting a satisfactory answer, I got up and left the room. The young lady has been crying in her room and we can't console her no matter what. As soon as I went downstairs, I saw the maid looking at me helplessly, asking for help. My heart sank, and I quickly walked towards Mia's room. A maid was holding a nightgown in her hand and looking at the little girl who was crying bitterly in the corner with a helpless expression. The little girl was wrapped in a bath towel and refused to change her clothes no matter what. I walked over, took the nightgown, and motioned for them all to go out. Mia, what's wrong? Who knew that as soon as I approached her with the dress, she started crying. So I simply put the nightgown aside and moved closer to her. I soothed her emotions over and over again, and the little girl was crying her heart out, choking back sobs. She said, Auntie, give me a hug. Her little hands clenched my sleeve tightly to gain a sense of security. I will never wear a dress again. Do you think that you were bullied because you were wearing a dress? Isn't it? Mia's eyes were red and swollen, making people feel sorry for her. From her perspective, she lost her mother as soon as she was born, and her father was always busy with work. All these led to her having too many emotions that were ignored and not getting any feedback. So she gradually became silent and introverted. Even when facing the bullying of her classmates, she didn't show normal anger. When a person feels suppressed in both the feeling and expression of anger, they will break down and fall into a sense of self-deprecating shame. Anger has an important meaning in life, representing our bottom line and perseverance. Since Mia doesn't understand anger, she is prone to being treated unfairly. Over time, it would be strange if her heart didn't become distorted and dark. No, if someone wants to bully you, whether you're wearing a dress or pants, they will still do it. If you don't resist, you're conniving the bad nature of others. Mia didn't do anything wrong and doesn't need to reflect on herself. The people who actually did bad things are the ones who should be punished. You're still young. If you don't have enough strength to resist on your own, your father and I are both willing to be your courage to face difficulties. Mia looked at me, and there was a hint of confusion and shock in her eyes. She wasn't born bad. The distortion of her character was mostly caused by the distorted environment in the plot that shaped her. In Mia's view, she lost her mother at birth, and her father was busy. Usually, it was the maids at home who took care of her, but for a young child, besides necessary protection and care, what they also need is education. Mia has fantasized countless times in her dreams about what a happy scene it would be if she had a mother. She envies her classmates who can rush into their mother's arms as soon as school is over every day. Mia thought that if she also had a mother, she would definitely be the good child who rushed into her mother's arms first among all the children. Mia's eyelashes trembled, like fluttering butterflies. Auntie, can you hug me a little longer? I held her in my arms, passing on strength and love to her with my arms. A hug is also a confirmation of love, and Mia has missed out on too much of it. So, let's forget about the unhappy things now. Don't consume your emotions because of other people's mistakes. Let's change into our pajamas and go out to make dinner together. Okay, Auntie will make you something delicious. The attention of children can always be easily diverted. Mia's spirit was lifted, and she took the initiative to change her clothes. I took out the tablet and opened the food section, letting Mia order whatever she wanted. Mia is a little foodie. Her eyes light up when she sees delicious food. In the kitchen, I prepared the ingredients quickly and skillfully. Before long, there were 4 dishes and 1 soup on the dining table, and a tempting milky aroma wafted out from the oven, sitting on the small chair. Mia blinked her eyes, took a deep breath, and her eyes sparkled. Auntie, it smells so good. I myself love cooking. coupled with the blessing of the system, my cooking skills are comparable to those of a Michelin-starred chef. Mia peeled 2 cloves of garlic and ran to me, hugging my leg. "Auntie, can I have one first?" She stretched out one finger and shook me pitifully, pleading. I squatted down with a mischievous smile. "If you kiss me, I'll get it for you." To my surprise, Mia didn't hesitate. She held my face and gave me 3 or 4 kisses, and then looked at me shyly. "Auntie, I kissed you 4 times, so I can have 4, right?" I was so charmed by the little girl that I asked her to go upstairs and called Charles down for dinner, but Auntie only baked 4 small breads in total. "Auntie can give you mine, but now you go upstairs and ask Dad if he's willing to give you his too." Mia turned around and went upstairs, and her small figure showed a bit of excitement. The system also cheered in my mind. "Host, you're my god." Mia's probability of turning dark is just plummeting. The dining table was filled with delicious-looking dishes. Charles sat down and took a bite of the fragrant, glutinous, and shiny braised pork. His eyes lit up. Mia buried her head in her food and praised between bites. "Auntie's cooking is the most delicious I've ever had." When it came to having dessert after the meal, Mia hesitated when she saw the only 4 sweet small breads on the table. She looked at Charles. "Dad, you don't like small breads, do you?" Mia looked so nervous that it seemed that if Charles said he did, she would cry the next second. "Charles, I won't eat them. You too can have them." Mia let out a long sigh of relief, and her expression changed from gloomy to sunny. She took 2 small breads and put them in front of herself, and pushed the other 2 towards me. "Auntie, let's eat them together." Charles was puzzled. Was this the reason for not giving him any? I couldn't help laughing and ruffled Mia's little head. "Keep your word. If Dad doesn't eat them, they're all yours." The system screamed crazily in my mind. "So cute, so cute." At this moment, I really wish I could touch this little cutie. This is not a vicious female supporting character at all. This is a little angel. I fully agreed. The little girl in front of me, with her clear eyes and being cute and sensible, was really hard to associate with the dark and vicious female supporting character in the plot. Mia attended a private noble kindergarten, and most of her classmates were young masters and ladies from wealthy families. In such a school, besides preschool education for children, there is a deeper meaning, resource exchange and the expansion of the network circle. In the past, Mia was marginalized in the class, apart from her introverted personality. Part of the reason was that no one knew her family background. It was usually the maids at home who attended the parent-teacher meetings for Mia, and Charles had never participated in the school's parent-child activities. Because of this, Kevin's mother didn't care about the cost of offending others. So she was so arrogant as to turn a blind eye to her son's bad behavior and still be so confident even when the evidence was conclusive. She just didn't expect that this little girl who seemed to have an ordinary background actually had a dress that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yesterday's incident caused a 180-degree change in the attitudes of the head teacher and Kevin's parents. Based on their qualities shown yesterday, I don't think this is a change of heart out of conscience. Charles's face, which often appears in financial news, is probably the real reason for their change of attitude. Early in the morning, I received a message showing a transfer of $200,000, indicating that this was the compensation for Mia's clothes and medical expenses. Kevin's mother even sent me a sincere letter of apology. I replied politely with a few words and calmly accepted this apology. At the same time, the head teacher was also very attentive. She sent me a video, which was a recording of Kevin publicly apologizing to Mia in class today. "Mrs. James, are you satisfied with the handling result of this matter?" Regarding this matter, as the head teacher of Mia's class, I feel very sorry. I skipped the head teacher's long apology essay. It was too long and I didn't want to read it. When I went to pick up Mia from school, I saw that compared to other children who were in groups, Mia was still walking alone in the crowd. But today she came out much faster than yesterday. There was a faint blush on her little face, as if she had run out all the way. She was among the crowd, looked around, and then lowered her head a little disappointedly. "Mia," I shouted her name loudly in the crowd. Mia suddenly turned around. When she saw me, she raised her hand high and then trotted over. Her eyes were brightly lit with surprise. "Auntie," I opened my arms and hugged her. On the way home, she reported to me about her life at school today. She learned addition and subtraction within 3-digit numbers. She gave the remaining small breads from yesterday to the stray puppies. Many classmates she wasn't very familiar with in the class took the initiative to talk to her today. Also, Kevin apologized to me today, but I didn't forgive him. Why, the teacher said that if I accept the apology, we should shake hands and be friends again. But I don't like him and I don't want to be friends with him. She didn't expect to blurt out her true feelings. She seemed to think that her true thoughts were not good, and her voice gradually became weaker, but I supported her. Mia is right. Not all mistakes should be forgiven. Is that so? Yes. So when we think that doing something will hurt others, we shouldn't do it. Mia nodded solemnly. Then, I took out a bank card and a stack of cash from my pocket and gave them to Mia. Over the years, basically, whatever Mia needed, Charles would have someone arrange it for her. Although from an objective perspective, adults can make better choices, but in this way, Mia lost the right to make her own choices and plans. It's very necessary to give children pocket money, which can help them establish the awareness of ownership or property rights. Money is also a form of love and a part of confidence. Mia, this is the compensation money that Kevin's parents gave you as an apology, a total of $200,000. Auntie is giving this money to you. Part of it has been converted into cash for your convenience, and part of it is in this bank card. When we get home, Auntie will teach you how to use it. The password is your birthday. If you need to spend money on something, you can take it from here. $200,000 is a bit too much for a 6-year-old girl, but her father is a billionaire. Compared with saving money, Mia should learn how to spend money. In wealthy families, spending money is also a kind of knowledge. The stack of cash I took out had denominations ranging from $1 to $100. For Mia, who has just learned addition and subtraction within 3-digit numbers, an amount in 10,000s is undoubtedly an astronomical figure. She opened her small mouth wide, and there was a big question mark on her furry head. Mia counted all the way with her fingers for the $200,000. Mia started to stick to me more and more, specifically, when I came out of the bathroom after taking a bath. I found a quilt on the floor slowly wriggling. I was so scared that I almost fell. Mia poked her little head out from under the quilt, blinked her eyes pitifully, and asked me, "The weather forecast says it will thunder tonight. Mia is scared. Can I sleep with Auntie?" I didn't react in time. As soon as I said, yes, Mia had already rolled onto the bed with the quilt. Children always like to play with the quilt on the floor, but it's not hygienic to sleep like that. I took another quilt and changed the 4-piece bedding set with Mia. Mia got in and wrapped herself tightly. She looked at me a little nervously, afraid that I would go back on my word and not let her sleep there. I held her in my arms, patted her back, and gently coaxed her to sleep. Mia is the cutest baby in the world. Mia's ears perked up slightly. Am I really that cute? Yes. Then can Auntie praise me again? Mia is the cutest baby in the world. I want to hear more. Mia is the cutest baby in the world. More. Mia is, baby. As I was talking, Mia suddenly whimpered softly. She held my hand tightly. Mia said, "Auntie's arms are so warm. I want to sleep with Auntie every day. This must be what it feels like in Mom's arms. It smells good." And she would praise me in a very gentle tone. When Auntie hugs me tightly, Mia isn't afraid of having nightmares anymore. My heart tightened, and I heard her ask me in a voice that was barely audible, "Auntie G, I want to call you Mom." Her hand tightly gripping my pajamas revealed her nervousness, as if once I refused, she would turn back into the stray kitten she used to be. I kissed her cheek and looked into her anxious eyes, making a firm promise. It's a kind of happiness to be Mia's mom. Mia's eyes widened, and she looked at me in disbelief. After a while, she came to her senses, then she got under the quilt and covered her head. I could only hear her giggling happily when she revealed her face. Her little face was very red due to lack of oxygen. "Mom," Mia pounced on me. Mom, let's go to sleep." Until the next day, Mia was still calling me Mom non-stop, circling around me. Charles was completely confused, with a puzzled look on his face. I said, "This is my daughter." Mia said, "This is my mom." Charles remained silent. Mia was sitting at a small table, drawing. She has extraordinary talent in art. When she was alone in the past, she liked to express her emotions through drawing. In the picture, a little mermaid was swimming freely in the sea, and on the shore stood a princess in gorgeous clothes, with long hair like seaweed, which was extremely beautiful. Is Mia drawing a mermaid? It's so beautiful. Mia is the little mermaid, and Mom is the princess. Looking closely, the princess on the shore really resembled me. Why? I became interested. Mia covered her heart, wrinkled her little face, and seemed really sad, saying, "Because the little mermaid wants to get the princess's love, just like Mia wants to get Mom's love. If the princess doesn't love Mia, Mia will turn into foam and disappear." I smiled and hugged her, saying, No, Mom won't let Mia turn into foam. Mom will always love you. Let's pinky promise. Mia hooked my finger, and then kissed me with a smack, saying, it's sealed. We've made a promise. Originally, we planned to go hiking on the weekend. But Charles said his parents asked us to go back to the old mansion. Speaking of which, the original self in this contract marriage had never formally met the parents. Since Charles's older brother passed away, Charles's father and mother took a long time to get out of the shadow. The only expectation they had for Charles was that he could be happy, so Charles didn't want his father and mother to know that we were only in a contract marriage. I understood his meaning. The car drove to the James family's old mansion. I got out of the car, holding Mia's hand, and took Charles's arm. His body stiffened unnaturally. Seeing his look that clearly said, we're not familiar, I was really afraid that his parents would see through the situation easily. Mia saw Charles's father and mother standing at the gate of the mansion from afar and rushed over, sweetly shouting, hello, Grandpa and Grandma. Mia also brought a painting as a gift, which made the two elders so happy that they couldn't close their mouths. They happily invited Mia to have some snacks. When Charles's father and mother saw me, their smiles widened even more, saying, so beautiful, what a lovely girl, you and Charles look so well, matched together. I immediately gave them the gifts I had prepared in advance. Charles's mother took my hand with a big smile, saying, don't be so polite. I heard from Charles that you take good care of Mia. Thank you so much. Aunt, this is what I should do. Charles's mother pursed her lips and said, you've married our Charles, so don't call me Aunt anymore. I quickly added, Mom. Charles's mother was overjoyed, and Charles's father joined in the fun, saying, then you can't call me Uncle either, Dad. Hey, Charles is really something. All these years, his father and I have been introducing girls to him, but he just didn't get married. I was wondering. So he already had someone he liked and got married secretly. Charles's mother was a bit dissatisfied. Charles's father frowned at this thought and kicked Charles's butt. Charles stumbled. Charles's father questioned, you got married? Why didn't you say a word to the family? I only found out when Mia called me. Why didn't you hold a wedding here in the hometown? Come back and do it quickly. Look at you. How can you treat this girl like this? Is this how I taught you to wrong a girl? Got it, Dad, Charles replied sullenly. It was rare to see Charles being so obedient. Charles's father and mother stuffed a thick red envelope into my hand and then stared straight at Charles. Charles's mother glared at him and said, this is Riley's first time coming to our house. Shouldn't you also give Riley a red envelope? I was just about to smooth things over when, unexpectedly, Charles felt in his pocket and actually had one. Wow, it was quite heavy. I smiled cutely with my eyes narrowed, saying, thank you, hubby. Charles couldn't stand being teased. He was stunned for a long time just after being called hubby. I quickly pulled him into the house. An argument could be heard from the yard. Charles and I looked at each other and quickly followed the sound. Charles's father and mother also quickened their steps behind us. A mean female voice was scolding Non. Stop, weren't you quite talkative just now? My brother found you a stepmother, and this is how she taught you to be impolite. Riley is from the countryside. She looks so shabby. The James family will never recognize her identity. Do you think she's nice to you for any other reason? She just has her eyes on the James family's money. If you defend her, just wait and see if Riley still wants you then. Don't think I don't know what bad ideas you're hiding with that pitiful look. After learning to talk from your stepmother, you might as well have been a mute like when you were a child. At first, Mia could retort a few words, but in the end, she could only sit on the ground and cry loudly. Shut up. Charles and I pushed the door open at the same time. In the room, a good-looking woman was dressed in, holding a Birkin bag in her hand, and scolding Mia loudly. She is Charles's sister, Jenny. In the plot, besides the original self, Jenny had the most malice towards Mia. She thought that if Mia didn't exist, the property of Mia's parents would be inherited by her. Although Mia was introverted, she was very sensitive. She noticed that this aunt didn't like her and never got close to her. This time, I didn't know why Mia would have a direct conflict with Jenny. All the snacks that had been placed on the table were knocked to the ground, and Mia fell to the ground. There were a lot of cake crumbs sticking to her coat. She sat on the ground, choking back sobs, saying, it's not like what you said. I rushed over and picked up Mia, hugged her tightly. Be good, Mia. Were you scared? Sorry, Mom made you feel wronged. Mia hugged me tightly, wearing a white furry coat. She curled up like a little lamb. She gradually calmed her breathing, and there was a panic in her eyes that I had never seen before. Mia and this aunt had always had a bad relationship. It wasn't the first time her aunt had scolded her, but this time she was more sad than ever. She tried her best to explain to me. When she came in to eat the snacks just now, she heard Jenny speaking ill of me, so she retorted a few words. Then Jenny got impatient and pushed her. Jenny was a hot-tempered person. She didn't like Mia, so she exploded. Mia hugged me and cried softly, "Mom, Aunt is lying. I'm a good girl. Don't leave me, okay?" My throat tightened. What made her sad wasn't that Jenny scolded her, but that Jenny said I would leave her. The system silently added a small note on Jenny's character introduction card. "Jenny, you really deserve to die." The two elders stood aside, looking at Jenny with a livid face. I stood in front of Mia and said, "Please apologize to Mia immediately." "Apologize?" Jenny sneered and slapped me across the face. "Is this an apology?" My face turned to one side. Charles rolled up his sleeves and was about to teach her a lesson. Mia rushed over to protect me, saying, "Mia, sit on the sofa and wait for Mom. Don't run around." "Okay, Mom." Mia looked at my face and cried, feeling very sorry for me. "Mom is okay. You have to trust me." Mia really wanted to help, but now Mom told her to sit quietly, so she had to be an obedient child. After settling Mia, I turned around and looked at the smug Jenny. My eyes darkened. I said expressionlessly to Charles, "Can you open a bottle of red wine for me?" I took the red wine and walked over, and without hesitation, poured it on Jenny. Jenny was stunned for 2 seconds. I took the opportunity to slap her even harder in return. She let out a scream. "Bitch, what are you doing, brother? Help me fight back." Charles sneered with a dark face, saying, "It seems you haven't been beaten enough." Jenny swallowed her saliva and stepped back to the dining table. She didn't dare to confront Charles, so she turned her spear point towards me, saying, "What right do you have to be here? Just because Mia calls you Mom doesn't mean you've entered the James family. I've seen too many women like you. You deliberately get close to a child to become a phoenix from a sparrow, right? Let me tell you, it's impossible." Jenny's face was distorted, and her voice was so sharp that it could pierce people's eardrums. She gritted her teeth and casually picked up a table knife from the table to stab me. I was faster than her. I rushed into the kitchen and took a kitchen knife. "You made the first move. If anything happens, I'm just defending myself." The light of the knife flashed across my face. Jenny let out a scream and turned around to slash my bag. She slashed while looking at me, expecting to see my heart-broken expression. I gave her a fatal blow. This bag was given for scanning a QR code on the street. You can rummage through it if you want. Jenny was a little right just now. I was indeed poor. After all, I just took on a high-paying job and it wasn't payday yet. I turned sideways and stabbed the kitchen knife into her Hermes, showing her what an effective attack was. Jenny was so angry that her eyes turned red. She rushed over to beat me, but Charles rolled up his sleeves and stood in front of me. He raised his hand and said, "Jenny, do you want me to beat you?" Jenny wailed, and turned around to roll around at Charles's father and mother's feet. "Dad, Mom, I don't want to see this woman. Make her get out of our house. She actually cut my bag. It's made of rare leather. Does that country woman know what rare leather is?" Charles's mother put down the melon seeds in her hand and walked to my side. I obediently peeled an apple for her with the kitchen knife, saying, "Auntie, we young people are just playing around." Charles's mother smiled. She took my hand, and I immediately felt a heavy weight on my wrist. The jade bracelet was transparent and delicate, with a uniform green, clear bottom all around. It was obviously very valuable at first glance. I wanted to refuse, but Charles's mother was very insistent that I accept it. "Thank you, Mom." I could only sincerely express my gratitude. This jade bracelet was the last straw that broke Jenny. "Mom," Jenny's voice broke, and her eyes were red-rimmed. "How could you give this bracelet to her? I'm your daughter." It turned out that this jade bracelet was a rare find. Charles's mother bought it at a high price at an auction many years ago. Jenny had always wanted it, but Charles's mother never agreed. Now Charles's mother actually gave it to an outsider. Charles's mother said with a cold face, "You still know we're a family, since your brother passed away. I originally expected you to be sensible, but you've gone too far. You leave a mess outside for Charles to clean up, and you bully Mia at home, acting recklessly because of the James family. Do you think I don't know? Jenny, this is your sister-in-law and niece. Go back to your room and reflect. Don't come out to see me until you've thought it through." The red wine dripped from the edge of her skirt onto the floor, making her look very dispirited. She opened her mouth, but in the end, She said nothing and walked away in a daze. Charles slightly lowered his head, and his eyes fell on my slightly swollen face. Sorry. There was a hint of distress in Charles's eyes. 2 bloodstains were scratched on my fair cheek by Jenny's fake nails. Mia sensibly brought the first aid kit to disinfect my wound. Charles took the hydrogen peroxide and said, "Let me disinfect Mom's wound." Mia really wanted to do it herself. But she really didn't know how to deal with the wound, so she obediently watched Charles's actions aside, learning very seriously. Charles's movements were very gentle. The cotton swab dipped in hydrogen peroxide stung slightly. "Does it hurt?" I shook my head. He reached out and rubbed my head, saying, "Sorry, I didn't know this would happen." I chuckled softly, saying, "It wasn't you who did it. You've already apologized twice." Charles insisted, "Letting you get hurt is my fault. I'm sorry." The distance during the dressing was so close that I could count his long eyelashes. "You care so much that it makes me think you like me." I lowered my voice and joked in his ear. Charles lowered his eyes and didn't speak. His eyelashes, like butterfly wings, trembled. I became interested and said, "Could it be true?" Charles gave me a faint look and pressed a little harder with the cotton swab in his hand. I cried out in pain. Ouch, sitting aside. Charles's father and mother watched this scene from afar and were even more enthusiastic about eating melon seeds. Finally, Charles's mother and father separately pulled Charles and me into the room. Charles's mother took my hand and said earnestly, "Charles is too busy with work. This child has a lot on his mind but is not good at expressing himself." Although Mia, Charles's mother, thought of something and leaned closer to me. She lowered her voice and dropped a bombshell. "Riley, do you know that Mia is actually Charles's older brother's child?" My expression froze. Although I knew this with the help of the system, the original self didn't know, so I pretended to be surprised and stunned. "Charles didn't tell you. He really is." Charles's mother looked at me and sighed, then told me the whole story about Mia. Although Mia is not Charles's biological child, it has always been Charles who took care of her. Her personality is also starting to be like his. When she was a child, she didn't talk to anyone, which really scared me. "Seeing that you take such good care of Mia, I'm really grateful to you." I hesitated slightly and said, "Mom, aren't you that I just treated Miss Sue?" Charles's mother waved her hand indifferently and let out a long sigh. "Jenny is spoiled. The family can't do anything about her. When you come back to the old mansion in the future, teach her a lesson more often, otherwise, with her personality, who knows what she'll be like in the future." I heard from Charles that your home is very far from here. If Charles bullies you in the future, just come to the old mansion. I'm telling you this because I'm actually worried that you might have some concerns. Now that I've told you, if you and Charles plan to have your own child in the future, you'll have an idea in your mind. She had an ant-like smile on her face. She sincerely wished Charles and me well. The system, for some inexplicable reason, suddenly sounded an alarm in my mind. The siren was so loud that it made my head buzz. "Are you malfunctioning?" the system screamed. "No, there's an emergency. The life indicators of the target character, Mia, are rapidly deteriorating." I immediately sprinted outside. Charles's mother called my name from behind, but I didn't have time to explain. Mia was no longer in the living room. As I ran downstairs, I forced myself to calm down and asked, "Where's Mia?" The system's page froze at this critical moment. It hasn't been maintained for a long time, so it's a bit glitchy. I couldn't hold back a curse word. "Where did all the previous experience points go? They were enough to upgrade you to the Invincible Supreme version. Are you getting carried away because this mission is going so smoothly?" The system trembled as it repaired itself. "She's in the swimming pool." In the swimming pool. I wasn't familiar with the layout of the James family's old mansion, and the system let me down at the crucial moment. I randomly grabbed the butler and asked him the location of the swimming pool. Following the direction he pointed, I rushed towards the yard. From a distance, the surface of the swimming pool was calm and waveless. I gritted my teeth and said, "Mia better be down there, otherwise, I'll uninstall you when I get back." Seeing Mia's life signs deteriorating rapidly, I didn't even have time to take off my clothes and jumped into the pool. A touch of light yellow caught my eye. It was indeed the dress Mia was wearing today. I quickly swam over, picked her up, and held her small body, sending her towards the water surface. When I climbed out, I held Mia and quickly carried out water control and first aid measures. Only when I saw Mia's life signs gradually stabilizing did I let out a sigh of relief. Just as I stood up and was about to call for help, I unexpectedly slipped on the water stains. hit my head on the floor tiles, and fell into the pool. This was really dramatic. Before losing consciousness, I seemed to see Charles's face, looking panicked like never before. When the host dies, normally I should directly leave the world, but Charles was very capable. He saved me at the critical moment. I was sitting in the control room with the system. The system, in the shape of a kitten, handed me a bucket of popcorn. Want some? I grabbed a handful of popcorn and ate it with gusto. On the huge display screen in front of me, the scenes happening in the mission world were clearly shown. I looked numb, so all the experience points earned in the previous worlds were used to exchange for this Dolby Cinema. The system wagged its tail and pretended not to hear. I lifted it by the neck. Do you really think you're a cat? The system screeched and pointed at the screen. Host. Look, Charles is kissing you. My hand slipped. And the system ran away. On the screen, Charles's face was extremely solemn. He rescued me from the pool and quickly started alternating between artificial respiration and cardiopulmonary resuscitation. In the intervals, he shouted at the butler to go get the AED. Charles knelt on one knee, unbuttoned my top, and pressed the pads on my body. His hands were shaking uncontrollably, and he called my name over and over again. The system wagged its tail and stood on a high place, cheering. Yo 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 yo. It had an ambiguous look. Host, you're going to fall in love. I turned around and gave it a cold look, and the system immediately fell silent. As soon as Mia woke up, she cried and wanted to see me. No one could stop her. Seeing me lying unconscious on the bed, she burst into even louder tears. No one could console her. Her bright eyes were swollen like walnuts. She opened her arms to hug me but was extremely careful for fear of pressing on me. When she was tired from crying, she put her head on my pillow and slept with me, murmuring softly, Mom, don't leave. Mom, don't turn into foam. Mia misses you so much. Mom, you lied. You made a seal with Mia. You said you wouldn't leave me. Mom, Dad said your head hit a rock. Does it still hurt when you're asleep? If it doesn't hurt when you're asleep, then Mom can wake up a little later. Wait until it doesn't hurt, and then open your eyes and look at me. Mia hugs Mom. One more hug. Hugging makes it stop hurting. My heart clenched, and a sour feeling welled up in my nose. After leaving the body and re-entering, the program needs to be loaded. This wasteful system was coaxed into exchanging the experience points accumulated in previous worlds for a set of Dolby Cinema. Now, because there are no experience points for upgrading, the program is as slow as if it were in the 2G era. Besides Mia, Charles would often sit by my bedside and stare blankly at me in a coma when he got home. Charles's father and mother came to visit every few days. The doctors they invited for diagnosis also changed several batches, but none of them could tell the cause of my condition. My vital signs were stable, but for some unknown reason, I couldn't wake up. One doctor said I might become a vegetable, which made Mia cry and scold him as a liar. In just a few days, Charles looked extremely tired. Every morning, Mia would kiss me who was still in a coma. Mom, the princess, when will you wake up? Since the real-life doctors couldn't find the answer to my coma, she looked for it in fairy tale books. She was looking forward to me waking up from my sleep like Sleeping Beauty. Seeing that I didn't wake up, she wasn't discouraged. She moved a small bench to the kitchen to make breakfast by herself. The clever Mia, by observing my actions on weekdays, could already complete simple operations like frying eggs and toasting bread. Charles and Mia made 3 servings together. She placed the one for me by my bedside. Mom, it will get cold if you don't eat it soon. Mia ate listlessly. Suddenly, she thought of something and stared intently at Charles. Mia, what's wrong? Charles wasn't in a good state of mind either during this period. He had almost pushed off all the work he could and stayed at home with Mia to take care of me all day. Dad, come here. Following her guidance, Charles squatted down in front of my bed. Dad, kiss Mom. Charles blushed. Mia said seriously, Mom is a princess, but Mia isn't a prince. Only a prince can wake up Sleeping Beauty with a kiss. Dad, give it a try. Don't you want Mom to wake up? In the control room, I grabbed the back of the system's neck. If the program doesn't load soon, I'll uninstall you right now. The system stretched out a cat's paw and pointed at the progress bar. Host, it's done. As soon as I opened my eyes, I met Charles's magnified face. Mia covered her mouth and cheered happily. The princess woke up. Charles stood up as if electrocuted, stiffened his body, and quickly moved out of my sight. When he went out, his head almost hit the door, and Mia plunged into my arms. Mom, after I woke up, I exercised for a few days and almost returned to normal. When Charles's mother came to visit, she looked much haggard. They checked the surveillance and found that it was Jenny who pushed Mia into the swimming pool. Usually, they turned a blind eye to Jenny's actions, but this time, it almost cost someone's life. Charles dragged Jenny to see a psychiatrist, and she was diagnosed with mania. Now she was detained in the inpatient department for treatment. It was obvious that Charles was really angry this time. After I fully recovered, I originally wanted to talk to Charles about some important matters, but Charles seemed to be avoiding me and was always busy. During the days trapped in the space, the system and I reviewed together, and the conclusion was that Mia was really too obedient, so obedient that it made people feel sorry for her. At this age, children should be the most mischievous and troublesome, but she was frighteningly obedient, however. For a child of Mia's age, being overly obedient is not a compliment. Since I couldn't find Charles free for several days in a row, I simply went to him when he was working from home. Work can never be finished. It's important to focus on the key points. I pulled out a chair and sat across from Charles. I wondered if I was seeing things. He gave me the illusion of a young boy in love. I looked serious and talked about the key points. I think Mia's emotional expression is somewhat restricted. For example, Mia doesn't resist when she is treated unfairly, and she only dares to whimper softly after being loudly scolded by Jenny. Mia's attitude towards me is so docile that it can almost be described as currying favor. I understand Mia's thoughts. She is extremely eager for her mother's company, but due to the long-term lack of this love, she has become very afraid of losing it. Therefore, she tries her best to be cute and obedient in front of me, as if as long as she is a good child, her mother won't leave. Ignoring one's own feelings to serve others is wrong, whether for children or adults. Moreover, Mia is a child with an immature mind. She suppresses her emotions based on other people's opinions. Sooner or later, she will become distorted like in the original text. Having been ignored for a long time, Mia's emotions have been suppressed for too long. Even though she is just a child, she still has very rich emotions. Mia can be happy, angry, and helpless. Every emotion is crucial to her growth. Happiness doesn't equal complacency, anger doesn't mean losing control of oneself, and helplessness doesn't mean she is weak. Every experienced emotion will bring her a different experience, but in this family, no one listens to her. Her emotions don't get feedback. Over time, it will cause difficulties in expression, and she may even feel that it's not safe to express emotions in front of outsiders. Charles had never thought about these things before. Only when I pointed them out did he feel extremely guilty and fall into deep thought. I directly said the key point. You are Mia's father and have a crucial position in her heart. Please listen to her more. Maybe you don't realize it, but your neglect is a kind of disrespect to her. There are no wrong emotions, only emotions that are not respected. Charles smoked one cigarette after another. He got up and picked a bottle of tequila from the wine cabinet. Perhaps this was a way for a domineering president to question life. When washing the glasses, he looked at me and asked, "Do you want a drink?" I nodded. Charles drank 3 cups in a row before stopping, then he turned the screen of his laptop towards me. It turned out that he wasn't working just now but making a family schedule. "Last time you gave me a family schedule, I improved it. See if there's anything else to add." Charles turned the computer screen towards me. My eyes fell on the interface, and slowly appeared above my head. This is what he calls improving it. Charles looked serious, taking the weekend as the core node. Guide Mia to comprehensively shape her physical and mental health through family activities and extracurricular interests. According to Mia's current physical condition and learning progress, adjust the activity items and interest cultivation synchronously, and optimize the operation. I had wrongly accused Charles. I originally thought that Charles only adopted Mia out of a sense of responsibility and didn't have any fatherly love for her. Now, looking at the dense project plans in the computer, I only felt that fatherly love was like a mountain. What kind of normal family would use OKR to raise a child? There are even assessments for the projects. One of the goals is to train Mia to run 800 meters in 3.5 minutes, leaving aside whether Mia's short legs can meet the training standards. Before this cruel task is completed, I'm afraid I will be blasted out of the world because Mia's darkening value suddenly explodes. I expressionlessly pressed down the laptop screen. Charles, who was excited in the middle of his speech, I clinked glasses with him in a daze and then resolutely rejected his project. I sighed. Meet in the living room at 9:30 tomorrow morning. We're going camping in Anshan. Go to bed early tonight. See you tomorrow. When I reached the door, I suddenly turned around and told Charles, who who was always wearing high-end suits. Oh, and don't wear a suit tomorrow, wear sportswear, got it, before 9:30 the next day. Mia had already finished breakfast and was sitting in the living room. Obediently waiting for me, Charles was sitting next to her, watching Paw Patrol with her. The father was kind, and the daughter was obedient, very nice. Charles was wearing a set of sportswear. I almost didn't recognize him. The black windbreaker was indeed the best beauty treatment for men. Charles suddenly seemed to return to his youth and looked like a clear-eyed male college student still in school, not to mention, he looked really young, however. There was a faint blue under his beautiful peach blossom eyes, as if he hadn't slept well. Host, I suspect Charles spent the whole night thinking about why you rejected his project, because I don't like putting life into rigid frameworks. Without a strict plan, we can discover changes everywhere. We watch the fireworks, walk on the grass, and look at the sea. The sun burns brightly all the way to the horizon, watching the endless dusk. Watch how dandelions rush towards freedom and how darkness welcomes the dawn. Mia rolled around in the haystack, and Charles's eyes also sparkled. He said, I admit that your plan is indeed better than mine. During this process, Mia also gradually opened her heart. She would be amazed when she saw squirrels jumping in the forest, chase after and teach a lesson to the strange children who threw mud at her, and smile happily when she ate her favorite condensed milk-filled small bread. Because of the rich life and positive emotional feedback, Mia started to make new friends and found her hobbies. Everything was progressing well, until Mia introduced her new friend to me. I twitched the corner of my mouth. Mia pushed the little boy next to her. The other party obeyed her every order, looking like a little follower. The only bad thing was that this little boy was named Mandy, that is, the male lead in the book. In the original plot, Mia was supposed to meet Mandy when she started primary school, but who knew that since the last outing, they happened to meet Mandy's family. He threw mud at Mia, and as a result, Mia chased him to beat him. Mandy had never been beaten before. The two of them somehow became friends while fighting. I had a bit of a headache. I didn't expect to meet the male lead earlier because of this. However, this wasn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, with him under my nose, I could make plans according to the changes at any time. In the original book, Mia had a crush on Mandy since she was a child, but Mandy only regarded her as a friend. But looking at the way Mandy's eyes were almost glued to Mia now, oh, ho, it turned out that you, little guy, fell in love first. When Charles found out, he blackened his face and threw Mandy out, refusing Mandy's frequent visits on the grounds that Mia needed to prepare for the entrance exam to the best primary school in the city. In a while, when the holiday ends, Mia will start primary school. Charles and I planned to take Mia to the mall. First, I took Mia to play around in the children's area, then we bought some stationery and reading materials. Seeing that it was still early, Charles suggested buying some more clothes. As soon as the sales associates, SAs, at each major counter saw Charles, they secretly pulled us towards the VIP room. Originally, I just wanted to buy 2 simple clothes for spring. But I gradually lost myself in the continuous praises from Mia, Charles, and the SAs. When Charles went to swipe the card, I realized that the clothes we bought were enough to last for a quarter. In addition, the SA thoughtfully matched several sets of family outfits for us. Mia put on one set and refused to take it off. She happily twirled in front of the mirror around Charles and me. The SA was very observant and asked, "Do you want me to take a photo for you?" In the photo, a good-looking couple was wearing clothes of the same color system and with the same cut. In the middle sat an adorable little girl with a pink and glutinous complexion, putting her 2 hands on top of her head to make the shape of rabbit ears. Charles posted the photo on his WeChat moments. He completely ignored the huge stir this sudden family photo caused in his WeChat circle. Mia beckoned and said mysteriously that she also had a gift for me and asked me to wait. Then she turned around and entered the adjacent Hermes store. Pointing to a Birkin bag in the window, she said to the SA, "I want to buy this." The SA thought she had misheard, but seeing the little girl dressed in brand name clothes, she didn't dare to be negligent and asked, "Little friend, where are your parents? Are you lost?" "I'm not lost. Mia just wants to buy this bag." The SA looked embarrassed, leaving aside the fact that the little girl in front of her was a minor. The bags in the window were only for display and not for sale. Just as the SA was about to take the little girl to the service center, a handsome man wearing the same style of clothes as the little girl came towards them. The exquisite cut and design made the man look tall, straight, and slender. The shift manager, wearing high-heeled shoes, hurriedly came to welcome us, looking at me standing beside Charles. She was amazed. "Mr. Charles, why didn't you make an appointment in advance this time? This must be your wife and daughter, they are so beautiful." He pointed to the bag that Mia had chosen just now and asked, "Do you have this one?" The manager understood immediately and mysteriously took out the same bag hanging in the window from the small back room. When it was time to swipe the card, Mia rushed to stop Charles. "This is a gift from my mom, I'll pay." Mia took out the bank card that I had given her before. She swiped $180,000 in one go without even a trace of regret on her face. Instead, she happily held the bag and handed it to me, saying, "Last time, the bad ant broke Mom's bag. I'm buying a new one for Mom. I think this color is more beautiful than the bad ants. Next time, it will make her angry." Tears welled up in my eyes. How could I be so lucky? At this moment, the value of the luxury item to me was not its expensive price, but the fact that the child I treated sincerely was also presenting me with the purest and most beautiful heart in the world. Seeing me crying, Mia anxiously wiped my tears. "Why is Mom crying? Did Mia do something wrong?" "Mom taught me to spend money reasonably, but I think buying a gift to make Mom happy is a very meaningful thing for Mia, right, Dad?" "Yeah." Charles's eyes were gentle. "It's meaningful as long as Mom is happy." When he said this, he stared at me intently, very seriously. My heart skipped a beat. I squatted down and kissed Mia's little cheek. "I know, I'm crying because I'm touched." After buying things, Charles asked the mall to deliver the items we bought today directly to our home, so that we could go directly for a walk in the nearby park. In the twilight, Mia's eyes sparkled. She tilted her head and smiled sweetly. "Does Mom really like Mia's gift?" "I like it very much." "Great." Mia is also very happy. I squatted down to tidy up her hair that was messed up by the wind. She swayed my hand coquettishly and pointed to a booth at the park entrance with her other hand. "Can cute Mia have a cotton candy today?" Of course, the system was so charmed that it strongly urged me to buy two, so Mia held a cotton candy in each hand and hopped around in the wind. Charles and I walked slowly behind. Our shadows grew longer and overlapped in the sunset. On the day of primary school registration, Mandy's name was also on the class division roster. Charles's face turned extremely dark. That night, he silently drank a whole bottle of tequila facing the floor to ceiling window. When I found Charles, he was hugging the stairs on the third floor and crying like a tough guy. I seemed to have seen something I shouldn't have. I turned around and left. "Riley," Charles shouted, freezing me in place. My heart was pounding. It would be so embarrassing to meet him in the future after seeing him crying like this at night. My mind raced, and I reached out to rub my eyes. Why didn't Uncle Lou close the window today? The sand blew into my eyes. It hurts so much that I can't see anything. Seeing that Charles didn't respond, I was about to sneak away quietly. "Riley, you're a terrible actress. Come and sit, I'm not drunk." I resigned myself to sitting beside him and took a sip of the half-empty bottle of wine next to me. Charles glanced at the wine in my hand and then silently looked away, his ear tips turning red secretly. When I looked again, he had a sad look on his face again. I patted his shoulder and earnestly consoled him. At this age, children's innocent feelings are very beautiful. Having a crush now doesn't necessarily mean anything when they grow up. The little boy will turn into a heartless guy when he grows up, and Mia won't like him. Charles looked at me and let out a long sigh. It didn't seem that he was so sad just because of Mia's matter. There was no news of Charles's company going bankrupt either, so what was he sad about? Drowning his sorrows in wine. "Did you get hurt in love?" Charles's eyes flickered. My gossipy heart was aroused. "Who could hurt you? You?" A mouthful of wine got stuck in my throat, almost choking me to death. The system was excited. "Yo yo 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 yo." My voice trembled a little. "You like me?" Charles somehow took out a bunch of Oreos. During family activities, we often played this game, randomly add mustard to the filling of Oreos. The one who eats the mustard-filled Oreo loses points, and the lucky one who doesn't gains points. If neither of us eats the Oreo with mustard, I'll tell you. In other words, if both of us or one of us eats the Oreo with mustard, he would keep me in suspense. I smiled, reached out generously, and randomly picked an Oreo from the cookies in front of me and ate it. "There's no mustard." Charles also picked one later. He chewed it slowly, and his expression as he looked at me was tinged with warmth. "There's no mustard." Charles slowly moved closer to me until our pupils could reflect each other's faces. He had drunk half a bottle of wine. The sweet and strong smell of tequila wafted into my nose from time to time, reminding me, it seemed that I was about to start a love plot. Actually, when I first met you, I didn't have a very deep impression of you, but later, I can't figure out exactly which day things started to change. I feel that the bond between you and me is no longer just a cold contractual relationship, although our agreement wasn't supposed to involve any personal feelings. But my rationality also tells me that when I meet someone I like, I should pursue them. I can't help but want to tell you the answer hidden in my heart. He turned to me, with a glimmer of fire in his eyes. I like you. This is a moment that transcends my life. You are the most reckless business I've ever done. I looked into his bottomless eyes and the tips of his eyes that were reddened by the wine, the sound of breathing, the wind outside the window, the sound of my heartbeat. 1 minute seemed like a long century had passed. I said, Charles, are you sober? Some emotions in his eyes suddenly surged, and then he moved closer to me. A gentle and irresistible kiss gave me the answer. In his kiss, besides the clear and strong taste of tequila, there was also a faint taste of mustard. I remembered that there was another rule in the game. If the person who ate the mustard could hold it in and deceive the others, it was also considered a win. I didn't expose him but deepened the kiss, because I had no reason to dislike Charles. And I also had no reason not to be moved in that moment. Charles was indeed not sober that night. The next morning, he had forgotten most of what happened. He blushed and stared at me for the whole morning. He had directly said that Mandy was not steady before, but now he was smiling less steadily than a 7-year-old child. Did I really kiss you? But I forgot. Can I kiss you again? Riley, where are you going? Charles followed me and stubbornly said he wanted to take me somewhere. He solemnly opened the passenger seat door for me. From now on, this is Riley's exclusive seat. Charles leaned over and opened the drawer in front of my seat. I've prepared some things for you here. Sunscreen, sunglasses, and a few lipsticks. See if you like them. If not, we can go buy some more later. I looked at him in surprise. Besides these, the drawer was also fully equipped with things that girls usually keep in their bags, from hair ties and hairpins to sanitary pads. Sincere love and care could make a seemingly indifferent person like Charles show meticulous consideration for you. I smiled and quickly kissed Charles on the cheek. The car was driving very slowly. The wind blew in from the window, making his ear tips red from my hair. During a red light stop, I couldn't help asking, where are we going exactly? Charles leaned over, to the Civil Affairs Bureau, to get married. I took a deep breath and said calmly, turn around and go home. Charles's hand holding the steering wheel stiffened. I seemed to hear the sound of his heart breaking into 18,000 pieces. I sighed helplessly. I mean, go home to get the household register. Charles pulled over. Charles looked at me intently, unable to hide his joy on his face. Do you really mean it? Can I say no? No. He moved closer to me and kissed me. The wind blew, carrying a faint fragrance. He didn't say, I love you, but kissed from my lips to my ear and told me, the wind is blowing. Extra story. After Mia started primary school, I learned about the female lead Bella's life trajectory at this time through the system. Her family background was very similar to the original hosts. They were both children from the mountains. The difference was that she was the female lead, compared with the original host who played the role of a vicious stepmother. Her character design was very good. She was tough, hard, working, and positive, before the main plot started. Her fate was also very rough. One difficulty after another failed to defeat her. Instead, it made her become more gentle and resolute. Bella's father died early, and her mother brought her up alone with great hardship. In order to raise tuition fees to send Bella to school, her mother went to the mountains to pick mushrooms to sell money and unfortunately fell to her death. I wanted to give her a hand. I lowered my eyelids and decided to sponsor the female lead to go to school. Using the alias Sarah, little friend, study with peace of mind, only knowledge knows no boundaries. Charles and I still couldn't get the marriage certificate that day. We took the household register and went to the Civil Affairs Bureau, only to find out that it was the weekend and the office was not open. Charles bit the quilt and thought all night but still couldn't figure out why the Civil Affairs Bureau wasn't open 24 hours a day. On the day of the wedding, Mia and Mandy were flower girls in the front. The original host's parents and Charles's father and mother stood on the stage, looking at us with tears in their eyes. We kissed in the applause of the guests. The system watched the wedding in real time with the Dolby Cinema and cried loudly in excitement, which really distracted me. Charles kissed my eyes dissatisfiedly. Why are you distracted? So I responded even more passionately. The world became silent at this moment, we held our breath. Just to listen to each other's heartbeat at this moment, eternity became dull and tasteless, not as good as the 3 minutes of our kiss. I indulged my love to grow infinitely, so that my heart would not rust. Even after getting married, Charles still felt very unhappy, but he didn't want to say why, because he was jealous of Mia. Why did his wife always care more about Mia than him? Why did Mia want to sleep with his wife again tonight? She was already a mature primary school student and should learn to sleep by herself. I successfully completed the mission. Mia was no longer the gloomy and distorted girl in the original text. She had grown into a bright and generous girl. The only thing that remained the same as in the plot was, her grades were still as bad as ever, but fortunately, she had a high artistic talent. Mandy also deviated from the original plot. He chased Mia all the way from primary school to high school, every time. Mia firmly rejected Mandy's pursuit with the reason that she wanted to take the entrance exam for the Central Academy of Fine Arts. I looked at Mia's test paper with a score of only 28 no matter how hard she tried and let out a long sigh. I had already started thinking about how to comfort Mia when she failed the exam, until the first semester of her sophomore year of high school. Mia's grades suddenly skyrocketed as if she had been blessed. Every day after school, she disappeared after dinner, saying that she was going to review with new friends. At the end of the semester, Mia's grades jumped from the bottom to the top 200 in the grade. I invited Mia and the friend who helped her with her studies to our home for dinner. Bella was wearing a school uniform, looking calm. Her beautiful eyes were filled with gentle determination. The moment she saw me, she smiled with her eyes curved. The first thing she said to greet me was, "Thank you, Aunt Sarah, later." Charles asked me if we would still meet and fall in love if we hadn't started with a coincidental contract marriage. I firmly said yes. A person's characteristics would make me fall in love with the same person in different time and space over and over again. Charles told me that he thought this life was too short. I jokingly told him that even if he went to a different time in the next life, I could still find him. Charles believed what I said very much. He believed everything I said. I also loved this about him very much. How will you find me? The universe will make us meet. A letter to Mia, to 18-year-old Mia. Mia, happy birthday. Today is an important moment in your life. You will run towards a broader and brighter world. As your parents, the significance of our existence is not only to provide you with a comfortable and affluent life, but also when you think of us, your heart will be filled with strength and warmth, so that you can have the courage and ability to overcome difficulties, and thus obtain the real joy and freedom in life. Mom and Dad are just a corner of your picture, the rest of it has infinite possibilities. As a girl, Mom hopes that you will bravely explore the beauty of the world. There may be some voices in it that want you to show weakness. What are girls going out to struggle for? Girls shouldn't be too strong. They should learn to show weakness. Being more gentle is better. Girls don't need to work so hard. Some voices will tempt you to regress, but Mom hopes that you can bravely stick to your own path. When you encounter difficulties, I will tell you not to be afraid over and over again. You will always have a place to recharge. Come back to me. I will wait for you, waiting for you to come home at any time to eat the small bread filled with condensed milk. After hearing the story,